You can't stop the war by giving weapons to Ukraine. You see? Which means that you don't want the war to stop. You want to break Russia. And that's not going to happen anytime soon. That's not Russia. The Soviet Union was broken once into many pieces. And now it's not about to break again. It won't happen. So West should stop doing that. Stop giving weapons to Ukraine. And get all these guys to sit down. Russia, Ukraine, China, India, maybe a couple of NATO countries, and say that, stop. In fact, Vivek Ramaswamy, the candidate, the Republican candidate for presidency of the United States, he's fighting elections. He mentioned this, and I like the guy. He's a very sharp guy, Ramaswamy. He's a very sharp guy, this Vivek Ramaswamy. And he says that, they asked him, how will you end this conflict? And he said that, listen, we need to ensure that there is no defense pact between Russia and China. That will be a major threat for the world. You get Russia to delink from China, and how do you do that? You have a new line where you accept where Russia has come till in Ukraine. That's number one. If that happens, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a massive, massive policy shift, because Vivek Ramaswamy is not going to give weapons to the Ukrainians then. That's what I assume, if he becomes president. If. It's a very big if, but if he does, he's not giving weapons to Ukraine. That's number one. Number two, what he's talking about is hard guarantees to Russia that Ukraine will never be accepted into NATO. What else does Russia want? If this happens, the war is over. It's pretty much over. Because the more you push Russia, the more it goes into the Chinese embrace. And the more it goes into the Chinese embrace, these two countries together, independently they may be handled. Together they are formidable, and it will become very, very difficult for the West, extremely difficult for the West to, then fight with this combined. See, there are two things. First of all, you want to condemn Russia for its aggression, fine. Fine. Russia should not have invaded. Yes, you pushed Russia to a point where Russia invaded, but that aside, forget that logic. Just discard that logic. Okay? Now, Russia should not have invaded, let us say. Russia should not have invaded. Okay? No problem. Now, the second step here is that, does the West want the war to stop, or the West does not want the war to stop? Because the kind of efforts the West has done in terms of arming and financing Ukraine are 100 times more than the West's call to peace. There are no calls to peace from the West, credible calls to peace. I have not seen any big Western leader saying that, hey, I take responsibility, Vladimir Putin comes sit, and Zelensky comes sit, and let's sort this out. I haven't seen that sort of a bold maneuver. But supplying of weapons to Ukraine, yes. Going to the Congress and saying that, we need $5 billion more to give to Zelensky. The US is doing that. Why? What is the end game for the US here? What is the end game? The US's end game is not peace in Russia and Ukraine. The US's end game is the breakup of Russia. And Russia knows that if it stops the war right now, these people will enter Russia and break up Russia once more, because Russia knows what they have done in the past. There was the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, USSR, 1979 to 89 after the Afghan War. 1990 started breaking up. 1989, 1991. It broke up into so many countries, dozen countries. And Russia has seen that harrowing time. And Russia does not want a repeat of that nonsense happening again. And Russia will do whatever it can to ensure that it does not happen again. And it should not happen again. But the West wants exactly that. It wants a breakup of Russia. It wants Russia broken. It wants Russia defeated. It wants Russia partitioned. It wants Russia on its knees. That is why they're giving weapons to Ukraine. Zhao Sheng is the Chinese ambassador to the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, which is, Zhao Sheng is now ambassador to the Taliban, Chinese ambassador. And with this, China has taken a massive, massive step. And this, I don't know what the nitty-gritties are. Maybe a diplomat can explain better. But for all practical purposes, I think China has recognized the Taliban regime in Afghanistan. And this is all because of the United States of America. Their ham-handed approach in Afghanistan, their ham-handed approach with Russia in the Russia-Ukraine war. America should have played neutral. They should have bought both the sides on the negotiating table. They thought that this will be an excellent time to break Russia once again. And all those oldies, remnants of the Cold War, who are still there in the corridors of power in Washington, D.C. They thought it was the Cold War all over again and let's sort out the Russians. No, that's not happened. Zelensky has become a joke. He's not able to do anything. He's sacking general after general, minister after minister. It's not helping him. And the fact of the matter is that Russia will find its own way. They thought that they will destroy the Russian economy. They haven't been able to do that. Putin has managed that aspect very well. Russia's economy is stable today. In fact, Germany, they have gone into recession. UK is about to go into recession. So I don't know what the fuss is about here. Also, very important, ladies and gentlemen, is that, with China sending an ambassador, do you think there are more countries that will send ambassadors to Afghanistan? India already has an embassy there in Afghanistan, in Kabul. It has an embassy there. So who's next? I mean, since China is there, do you think Pakistan is also going to send an ambassador? Do you think Russia will send an ambassador? Do you think India will send an ambassador? What about the Istan countries, Central Asian republics? Do you think they'll send an ambassador? Do you think that by the end of this year or maybe next year, mid next year, or maybe by the end of 2024, there are going to be 25, 30 embassies active in Kabul once more? Think about it. Because what the Americans have done, by their sheer lack of vision of Joe Biden and before him, Donald Trump. Donald Trump was no bright star. Donald Trump and Joe Biden, both of them have messed up. And this entire policy of saying that, we'll, especially Joe Biden, we'll sort out Russia. No, you can't sort out Russia. What you have done is you have pushed Russia into a corner where Russia has found out or managed to find out another route. Now the Russians feel that they don't need the West. They're happy with the Chinese. And this Russian-Chinese bloc is going to become a huge headache for the Americans and the NATO as such. So clearly America needs to come up with a brand new strategy if they have to survive this war or this oncoming Cold War or maybe even a hot war, who knows. When Russia invaded Ukraine, America and all the other countries, NATO countries, should have stepped in and played the role of a peace broker. They should have told Russia, you need to back off. They should have told Ukraine, what is your problem? Let's sit down, let's sort this out. Nobody said that. They painted this entire Old Testament David and Goliath story out of thin air. Yeah? And after doing that, they just kept on pumping money into Ukraine. They pumped so much money into Ukraine that Zelensky went crazy. He kept on fighting with the Russians. So many, thousands upon thousands of young Ukrainian men and women are no more. Because Zelensky he's safe in his presidential palace. His wife is safe, his kids are safe. The rest of the Ukraine is burning. The CIA says, Seymour Hersh, that very famous analyst and author, he has written that it was his investigative report that said that Zelensky is a thief. He's a corrupt man. Hundreds of millions of dollars have gone away. They just stole by Zelensky and party. His cabinet ministers have stolen hundreds of millions of dollars, together amounting to billions of dollars. It's just gone. Those funds are not traceable at all. This is exactly what he has done. Now, apart from other things, that about the Russia-Ukraine war, what is happening is that America and the NATO countries pushed Russia so much that Russia started realigning itself with a lot of people. So today, you have a bloc where Russia and China are clearly visible now. Does that upset America or scare America? Of course it does. But Americans, you are responsible. You did not want the Ukraine-Russia war to stop. You wanted the breakup of Russia. That was your aim. Your aim was never peace. You see? And you thought that Russia was a cake and you could cut it and eat it like you tried to do it in 1990s, 1989-90. USSR broke up. But this is a different Russia. I'm not saying Russia was right in invading Ukraine. No, absolutely not. But the fact of the matter is you pushed Russia. And this pushing Russia has resulted in now Chinese efforts to create a new bloc where Iran is getting mainstream now. It's part of BRICS. And don't be surprised. Do not be surprised in the next 3-4 years, you see North Korea as part of another, alignment. North Korea, part of another alignment. Then what are you going to do? So many nuclear powers. Pakistan will tag along with whoever gives Pakistan money. Pakistan has got no loyalties to anybody. The Pakistanis have no loyalty even to Pakistan, so forget about other countries. But what Pakistanis are going to do is very simple. They'll simply go with whoever gives them more money. Let's say it's China. So you have one nuclear power state, China, second nuclear power state, Pakistan, third nuclear power state, Iran, fourth nuclear power state, North Korea. Then what happens? And all this is plausible, I'm telling you. All this is plausible. None of it is in the realm of fantasy. All this is plausible. And all because America wanted to push Russia into a corner and Russia reacted. Today, Putin is welcoming Kim Jong. I don't know where this road will lead, but I'm very sure, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a pleasant road.